Hello, everybody. It's Nancy Raymer from Reviva Labs. We'll be beginning our presentation with a brief history of skincare from Cleopatra to now. In just a few minutes, we're just waiting for a few more people to attend. And as most of you know, let me see if I can see you guys. As most of you know, we do this every month. We have a different topic that we explore and discover together. So you can check our website under revivalabs.com and look under events. You'll also find under events our Zoom demos that we conduct once a month, as well as a very fun program that was known as Trivia Night. So check out our website for all the events. Now, let me just see. I see we have 3 participants and more coming. So I just want to make sure I've got everybody. Okay. All right. Well, like I said, we'll begin in just a minute. Let me just see. I'm just going to chat to everybody and just say, can you hear me? Because everybody's on mute, so I just need to know that you can all hear me. I'm using a different computer today, so I'm just a little bit anxious about it. Having my, one's being fixed, so I'm using my laptop. So if you could just chat back to me and say that you can hear me, that would be helpful. Thank you. I feel like I'm talking into a tunnel, you know? So anyway, thank you. Okay, thanks, Jules. All right, so let's just give it another minute or two. I can't tell you while we're waiting, I am so excited about this topic. I had a lot of fun researching and a lot of fun digging into this history. Some of it surprised me, some of it didn't. But really, interestingly, this weekend, the New York Times magazine section had a whole article about the history of skincare as well. So I did a deep dive into that article. So I would encourage you to look at it if you can and talk a little bit more about different ancient oils that were used at the time and how they're still used today. I'll get into that a little bit as well. But I don't know, it's just, I guess it's a time of spring and everybody taking a look at all their skincare and their treatment products. And it's a time to talk about, get a little bit more in depth about them. So, okay. Why don't we begin? I'm going to start screen sharing and people will just join as they can. And we'll start our program. Okay, got to put the glasses on. Okay. Here we go. Share. Okay. Brief history of skincare by Reviva Labs. And speaking of Reviva, I'll get a little bit more into Reviva Labs later because we do figure sort of prominently in some aspects of skincare history. But for those of you who don't know, we have been around since 1973. And we have, for that nearly half a century, have been creating natural skincare products for just generations of people and are committed to using the highest quality products that are both safe and effective, and will continue to formulate products for all skins. So with that said, where it all began. As you might have known, the earliest evidence of skincare makeup comes from ancient Egypt, where preserving youth and having great-looking skin was as important then as it is today. I don't know exactly how to feel about that, but I feel like, oh man, for centuries, looking young was important. Cleopatra, the last pharaoh of ancient Egypt, was renowned for her radiant skin and her stunning beauty. And she was said to bathe in milk and roses to keep her skin soft and beautiful. But interestingly, Cleopatra didn't bathe in cow's milk, but instead used donkey's milk. Did not know that personally, but legend has it that she required 700 lactating donkeys in order to supply the milk for her daily regimen. And she wasn't alone. Pompeia, the second wife of a Roman emperor, washed her face in donkey's milk 7 times a day in order to erase wrinkles and preserve the whiteness of her skin. And the wife of Emperor Claudius I made face masks with slices of bread soaked in donkey's milk. I thought this was just ingenious because donkey's milk is actually very good for your skin, and it's still used today in creams and masks and soaps and shampoos. It's apparently really high in antioxidants, lactic acid, so that's why the bread soaked with the milk and just placed on the skin probably had more time to activate within the skin. And then you've got minerals and essential fatty acids to protect the skin and keep it smooth and soft. So these ancient women were onto something. And I encourage you to Google it. There are many products today with well-known brands that use donkey milk. It's not known as donkey milk, and it's apparently pretty precious and expensive to use still. So it's not exactly in the mass market yet, but it's still being used. So the ancient Egyptians, of course, used ingredients for their skin that were readily available around them. So they used things like castor and sesame and moringa oils. Olive oil, of course, was in abundance, and clay used to cleanse their skin, and also in masks. And salt from the Dead Sea was used to exfoliate the skin. So as you know, again, many of these ingredients used in skincare products today. The Egyptians also liked aloe, myrrh, and frankincense. And frankincense was thought to have anti-inflammatory properties and used to prevent wrinkles. And again, they were onto something because skincare products today still use frankincense, but it's known as boswellia, and it's sourced from trees native to India, North Africa, and the Middle East. And actually, there was a large part of the article that I was reading this weekend about boswellia. The Egyptians were also the first to create multi-purpose products. To prevent sun damage and their skin from turning too dark, they used a mixture of sand and oils on their skin. But this mixture had really 2 purposes. It was not only to protect their skin, but also to decorate it and enhance their skin. So it was sort of like the first BB cream of their day, right? So good on them. They used everything, these ancient Egyptians. So it really was a priority in women's lives, was to take care of their skin. And since tan skin was associated with working or lower class women, the aristocracy of many ancient cultures whitened or lightened their skin. The first ingredients being white lead, crocodile dung, and chalk. Right? It just gives you the willies thinking about it. This practice was particularly popular in China, as you can imagine, during the Shang dynasty of 1760 BC, long time ago. White powders were achieved to use the whitest complexion possible. Some went even as so far as to use these gels and lotions with ingredients that would permanently bleach their skin. But one of the natural ingredients that they used was song yi mushrooms, which is still used today in skin whiteners and to promote new cell growth. Over time, hold on a second, I just want to go back 1 minute. Okay, yes, okay. Over time, skincare eventually became more popular in Europe and the Middle East, and new ingredients and treatment methods were invented. It's thought that the first cream or daily moisturizer was developed using rose oil, water, and melting beeswax into that mixture. The mineral alum, an astringent, an antiseptic, was used to treat scabs, and olive leaf was used for acne, and that is still, again, used today. I can't tell you how many times I went back and forth after reading something, for in developing this presentation, and then went back to another tab and said, is that used today? And I can't tell you how many products would pop up. It's really quite comforting in some way that some of the ingredients that we use have just like a long history of efficacy. Now, by the 1700s, this is where it gets sort of gross, quite frankly, makeup was considered an art form. And many people believe that makeup was most beautiful when it was literally painted on and layered on. And the heavier the makeup, the higher social status and economic status was conveyed or that was perceived that you had. And the whiter the skin, the better. So popular whitening mixtures at that time were made with rice powder and zinc oxide and talc. Thankfully, they moved away from the crocodile dung, but it was replaced with vinegar, lead, and even paint. And some women would use egg whites to paint over the white paint to give an enameled look and a shiny look and help it stay on and not crack. And it would just stay on longer. Unfortunately, bathing and washing wasn't popular at this time, so the women just layered it on night after night after night, or day after day after day, and not taking it off at night. And as you can imagine, it resulted in some pretty ugly results. Wounds, scarring, skin discoloration, hair loss, poisoning, because they were using lead and paint on their face. And even though so many people suffered from all these different ailments due to that lead paint, lead-based products were still used until the 1860s. So almost 100 years later, women were still using lead and paint on their face. During the 1800s, skincare was used really only by the wealthy and was seen as vital for maintaining social status among the upper classes. So it wasn't a luxury that working class women could afford. They're just trying to stay alive. So for the majority of this century, skincare products remained hard to obtain and they were expensive and exclusive to just a certain status of people. And fortunately for everyone, by the 1900s, new affordable skincare formulas exploded onto the market. And this century saw the birth of countless businesses for makeup and skincare products. These items stopped being just for the privileged and became really readily available for all types of people, no matter their economic status. And in the early 1900s, the natural look became really popular and women stopped using heavy makeup, and translucent powders and invisible lotions became increasingly popular. But these powders that were available to the masses in the early 1900s typically came in pure white or skin tone color matching Caucasian women. So due to the lack of products for darker skinned women, Madam C.J. Walker and her protege, Annie Turnbow Malone, introduced the first skincare, hair, and makeup products exclusively formulated for dark-skinned women and became millionaires in the process. And I think as I was developing this, I think Netflix or HBO, one of the streaming services did a movie about Madam C.J. Walker and her early beginning. And I read a little bit about her as I was preparing this as well. Quite an extraordinary woman. She just went out there door to door, created a whole school on skincare and selling techniques. Fascinating. Sunscreen. I wanted to include this because the protection of skin and the prevention of damage really took hold in the 30s and into the 40s. Eugene Schuller, who was the founder of L'Oreal, invented the first sunscreen in 1936. Despite its relative ineffectiveness, the idea of using sunscreen led to the invention of another product called Glacier Cream by an Austrian, Franz Greiter, in 1938. And Glacier Cream is cited as the first commercially viable sun protection cream. Now, interestingly, again, in my research, I saw that the military, actually, the US military, developed a sunscreen for soldiers to use in the Pacific Theater during World War II, because they needed to protect the skin from the intense sun over in the Philippines and near Japan and over in that area. So 30s, 40s, you see sunscreen really being developed. And in 1962, a writer introduced the concept of the sun protection factor rating system, the SPF, that we still use today. And it has since become the worldwide standard for measuring the effectiveness of sunscreen. Into the 1970s, this decade saw the multi-step skincare solution arrive, along with skincare regimens that were developed for specific and different skin types. It seems it was no more a one size fits all. Now you could buy products if you were oily or dry or normal. And major brands quickly launched multi-product regimens with a cleanser and a toner or multiple toners. If you remember Clinique back in the day, they must have 5 or 6 different toners and moisturizers for every skin type. And it just seemed interesting to me that I didn't even think about that it just so much a part of our modern caretaking of our skin is to have a multi-stepped system. But it was not until really the 70s that it gained popularity. And prior to that, it was, just a cream and a moisturizer and you're done. So this has really led to a lot more discoveries, including, we arrive, in the late 1960s and the early 70s, a new idea hits the market, and that would be, yes, Reviva. A unique skincare brand that would go on to create effective salon-style products is how we first marketed ourselves, that introduced visible results at a reasonable price. So 5 years before Reviva Labs was established, Mr. Strassler, Steven Strassler, our founder, became one of the first estheticians in the United States. And soon after, he opened a skin salon in South Jersey, the first one in the area, and began importing European skincare products to sell to this emerging skin salon market. And it really was emerging. Prior to this, you would buy your skincare products, at a department store if you could afford it, or most of us bought it at drugstores. But this idea of going to a salon and having your skin treated and taken care of, much like you did like nails, was somewhat new, and certainly in Europe, but not so much in the United States. And Mr. Strassler saw his opportunity and he began importing European skincare products to sell and to introduce to the market. And that experience really led him to establishing his own brand. In 1973, we established, and we did not go to the department stores, but we started selling to health food stores and skincare salons with some of our new and different formulations, which were at the time some of the groundbreaking skincare treatments that Mr. Strassler developed was the light skin peel, which we still sell today. And this is an older packaging look right here, but it was originally known as the European light skin peel. Intercell day and night gel. Again, we still sell this today. It looks quite different, but using hyaluronic acid. Ubiquitous now in the industry, but then hyaluronic acid was relatively new. And then you have things like collagen fiber masks. We used to sell a face mask, and now we still have the eye pad kit that we sell for just around the eyes. And a particular attention he focused on was brightening and lightening products, whether it was glycolic acid or some of our dark spot lightening products and formulas, and vitamin K cream. And let me tell you, we were taken by surprise earlier this month when a couple of TikTokers decided to TikTok about our vitamin K cream as being a great formula for under eye dark circles. We can't keep up with the orders. It's been a crazy month for us. So if you haven't seen them and you have a TikTok account, just go and look. I'm sure you can see it on YouTube too. These young women and the derm doctor talking about our vitamin K cream. It's been quite fun and quite rewarding after all these years. They're like, we've always used it for the face and for the recommended for the body, but to do under eye circles. And there's one that has a video that really shows the difference. So it's great. It's really been fun for us. Oh, and also Reviva Labs avoided and eliminated animal testing decades before it really became an issue. So moving on to the 1980s, oh boy, defined with big shoulder pads, big hair, and bold makeup. but there were, and quite frankly, a lot of this decade was more about makeup, whether it was foundation that matched your skin or bold lip and eye combinations to match the gem tones that people were wearing in their suits or nighttime outfits. But there were some iconic and inexpensive skincare solutions that were introduced, and one of those being in the toner category, Bonnie Bell 1006 and Seabreeze. Can't you smell them? And they were pretty antiseptic smelling, but they did the trick. Cleanser, Neutrogena bar leapt onto the market. Exfoliators like Mud Mask and the Buff Puff. I think my skin is still recovering from the Buff Puff. And hair care products, of course. And talk about scents. I can still smell Wella Balsam and herbal essence, right? All to attain that really big hair. I think Brooke Shields was one of the spokespeople back in the day for those products, but and anyway, or Mary Lou Hemingway. Anyway, one of those young women. The 90s. The 90s brought some really incredible discoveries into the skincare world. Retinoids were the first cosmetic ingredient to receive FDA approval to be able to really claim it would decrease lines and wrinkles around the eyes. I remember visiting a dermatologist once and saying, "So what's the best ingredient for the skin?" And he said, "Hands down, retinol. Just use retinol. You'll never have to use anything again. It works. It's effective." Unfortunately, he had to get a prescription for that. So at that time, I didn't do it, but I was thankful that alpha hydroxy acids came onto the market. They had very, very similar results to retinoids because they cleansed the pores, they improved the tone and texture, managed oil production to a certain degree, but they reduced the discoloration and age spots. And interestingly, alpha hydroxy acids help shift the balance between the prestige and the mass market, and they were inexpensive. So a lot of companies and brands in the mass market skincare category quickly glommed onto this new ingredient and created their own products. So it was really an ingredient that women of all ages and economic status could well afford. And that brings us to the 21st century and the future trends. And again, in creating this, it's very interesting to me. One of the biggest trends, and I talked about this in a previous webinar, if you want to go back and look at it on our website, but one of the biggest trends right now is clean beauty and plant-based ingredients. Hello, ancient Egyptians. Here we are, right back to the future. Clean beauty, taking out the chemicals and just trying to find plants that have the same efficacy, right? So one of them, turmeric, used for centuries in Ayurvedic medicine, ancient Chinese medicine, as an anti-inflammatory and antimicrobial. Now it's being used in skincare, and we're going to be using it soon too in a reformulation. So stay tuned in one of our favorite products. Bakuchiol, yes, I think I'm saying that correctly. Oil is nature's answer to retinol, because it increases cell turnover and stimulates the collagen production. But again, it's natural, it's plant-based. Essential fatty acids, omega-3 and omega-6, are used in skincare to hydrate and soften lines. Hemp seed oil, we just recently launched 2 new products using hemp seed oil that helps to moisturize, hydrate, regulate oil production, calms irritation. They're beautiful products. And sea buckthorn is great for strengthening. That was used by the ancients as well. And niacinamide, vitamin B3. This is to me, it's just a fabulous, fabulous ingredient because it does so many things. It renews, it restores lipid barrier, it reduces redness, hyperpigmentation, regulates oil production. And we, in the process of some of the reformulation that we've been doing and taking out some preservatives, and we take the opportunity to say, well, how can we boost this product, make it better? And you'll see we've added niacinamide to many of our top sellers. So that brings us to the future. We have been, for almost 50 years, a key player in the skincare history, but we're even more excited, obviously, to be part of the future. So again, I know I've been teasing you a little bit about new products or new formulations, but there's a lot coming. So please keep your eye on this space, as certain newscasters would say, at Reviva Labs to see what we're doing for the future. So thank you for joining me today. I'll stop screen sharing at this point so I can take a look and see if you guys have any questions that you just type in if you'd like to ask about. And also, while you're doing that, I just want to reiterate that all webinars can be found if you, or I know some of you work in the field and you may have a staff member who would wanted to maybe join on and got busy. You can always go to our website at revivalabs.com under events, and all of our webinars are posted so you can watch them again or just share them with whoever you'd like. You'll also see the dates for our next Zoom demo and our trivia nights. So thanks, Julie. I see a comment, but yeah, it was. She said, "Thank you for the presentation. It was interesting and informative." I felt the same way. I can't tell you how much fun I had putting this presentation together and sharing it with you. I was really very excited about doing this one today. I am about all of them, but this one was just so fun to see. You know, you think something's new and it's really not. It's been used for a long time, and it's just so nice that as a brand that we're using so many of these great ingredients. So get behind it. So anybody have any other thoughts, questions, comments? Love to hear from you. And if not, okay, I hope you join us for another presentation, whatever you would like, trivia, demoing, or just general information like on a webinar. So thanks all for joining me today. Appreciate it. And check out our website and those TikToks on vitamin K cream. Okay. Have a great day. Good to see you. Bye-bye.